the man who pulled a scam that no other person ever could. One of the greatest con artists who ever lived. The man who shook the foundations of the American economy. This is the story of Victor Lustig, the man who literally sold money printing machines and also sold the Eiffel Tower twice. Victor Lustig was born in 1890 in Hostine, a town of Austria-Hungary, which is now part of the Czech Republic. We don't really know much about his childhood, because throughout his life he used around about 50 different identities, and he also constantly lied about who he was and where he was from. But what we do know suggests that Victor was born in a poor family, who could barely afford food or clothing. He described his parents as the poorest peasant people, who raised him in a grim house made from stone. At the age of about 12, he dropped out of school and ran away to live on his own. He began living on the streets and started pickpocketing and begging in order to survive. At the age of 18, Victor Lustig had perfected every known card trick, which helped him to cheat in various card games. Due to these scams, he was captured by the police on multiple occasions. One day, Victor boarded a ship and headed to the United States of America. On that ship, Victor realized that the first-class passengers aboard transatlantic ships could be scammed pretty easily. So for the next few years, he kept on boarding back and forth on these ships, scamming as many wealthy passengers as he could. One of his common scams was posing as a successful music producer who was looking for investment in a Broadway production. But these scams were brought to an end during the First World War, as the services of transatlantic liners were suspended. When the war ended, Victor showed up in New York City. One day, Victor got the brilliant idea of selling magical money-making boxes that could print duplicate dollar bills. Obviously, this was fake, but Victor just had to find some people dumb enough to believe him. He had many of these boxes made from a skilled carpenter. Each box was about 2 feet in length, with complicated rollers and a bunch of useless dials. Victor told people that they just had to put a currency note inside the box, and after 6 hours they would get an exact copy of that note. Victor never approached his targets about buying the box, but instead, he would first find a way to make them trust him. For example, Victor picked the pocket of one of his victims, and then went back to him and said that, "You drop this." This would make Victor gain the trust of that person. Now Victor would just start a conversation, and subtly mention the money box, and how it could duplicate currency bills. But he would mention it in such a way that made him look as he doesn't want to talk about it. This would only make people want to know more. Soon, the victim would want to see the box. Even though Victor would be reluctant at first, eventually, he would agree. Victor would then take the victim to see a demonstration of the money box. Victor would insert a $100 bill inside the machine and wait for 6 hours. During this time, Victor would chat with the victim and drop hints that he needs a lot of money for an emergency situation. But the machine just takes too much time to replicate the notes. 6 hours later, the box would have the original $100 bill, and an exact copy of that bill. But in reality, Victor had just hidden the second $100 bill inside beforehand. Then they would go to the nearest bank to confirm if the note was real or not, which obviously it was. Now the victim is surprised and just somehow wants his hands on the money box. During their chat, Victor had already given hints that he is urgently in need of money. The victim would then ask to buy the money machine for a lot of money, which was exactly what Victor wanted. Just like this, the money box was sold. Using these tactics, Victor sold multiple money boxes and made a lot of money. When the victims would figure out that the money box is fake, Victor would be long gone, and the victims couldn't even go to the police because they had bought a counterfeiting machine, which obviously is illegal, and they could get in a lot of trouble for buying that. In the 1920s, Lustig learned that the Eiffel Tower, built in 1889 for the World's Fair, was never meant to stand for more than 20 years. The Eiffel Tower required frequent repairs that were very expensive. Hearing this, Victor got a brilliant idea. He wanted to sell the Eiffel Tower. He hired a forger who produced fake government stationery for him. Victor Lustig pretended to be a government official from Paris, met with scrap metal dealers from all across the city, and told them that the government wanted to physically scrap the Eiffel Tower, as it was very expensive to frequently repair, and that he had been tasked with brokering the deal. The only problem was that due to the risk of public opinion turning, the deal had to be conducted in secret until it was completed. He told the dealers that he had chosen them because of their reputations as trustworthy, honest businessmen who could keep such a secret. One of the dealers was André Poisson. André was an insecure man who only cared about making a name for himself and climbing up the social ladder of Paris's business community. Lustig knew such a man couldn't resist owning such a famous landmark. After the dealers had sent Lustig their bids, he arranged a private meeting with André during which he complained to Poisson that he was not happy with his salary and that the government pays him really low. André understood that he wanted bribe. André was desperate to make a name for himself, and so he paid Lustig a large bribe to secure the deal. As soon as he had the money, Lustig ran away to Austria and laid low for a few months. He soon realized that André kept the whole matter quiet and never went to the police due to the shame and embarrassment of falling for the scam. This meant that he could do the exact same scam again, and that's exactly what he did. A few months later, he returned to Paris and repeated the whole process. However, this time, the victim did go to the police and told them everything. Once the story was out, Victor returned to the United States. And this is where his downfall begins. Before we continue, I just want to say that this video took a long time to make, and I would really appreciate if you could just like this video and subscribe to the channel. After returning to America, he returned to his life of crime. There is a story that Victor even swindled the notorious gangster, Al Capone. Victor convinced Capone to invest in a scheme that would double his $50,000 investment in 60 days or less. However, Victor returned the money to Capone, saying that everything had gone wrong and he sold everything he had to return Capone his money. Capone was very impressed by his honesty and gave him $5,000 as a gift.
But Lustig, who was a very smart guy, when he got the $50,000 for Capone, just came home, kept it in his living room for 2 months.
And this was Victor's plan all along. He never intended to do anything with the money. He kept the money and returned it as is, hoping for a reward. In 1930, Lustig began his next big scam, a large-scale counterfeiting operation. He teamed up with a man named William Watts and started printing some money. Lustig created banknotes so flawless that they fooled even bank tellers. Other counterfeiters stuck to low denominations, as those could be easily passed around unnoticed. But Victor started to print $100 bills due to overconfidence in his notes. The operation managed to inject thousands of dollars of counterfeit money to the United States economy each month for the next 5 years, and the increasing amount entering circulation eventually drew the attention of federal agents. There was genuine concern that this operation could destroy confidence in dollars and shake the foundations of the American economy. So in 1934, a special squad was assembled in order to catch Victor. However, it was an anonymous phone call that led to Victor's capture on May 10, 1935. It is widely believed that the anonymous tip was from Victor's mistress, Billie Mae, who learned that Victor was cheating on her, and so told the police about his counterfeiting headquarters out of anger and jealousy. The day before his trial, Lustig managed to escape from the Federal House of Detention in New York by faking illness and using a specially made rope to climb out of the building. But he was recaptured a month later and was sentenced to 15 years in prison on Alcatraz Island, where he died on 11th of March 1947 due to pneumonia. You will get so many interesting videos on this channel if you press the subscribe button. So please, press that button.